Welcome back to the TCO studios. As we mentioned atop the show, the winds of change have blown through Eagan. Offensive coordinator John DeFilippo out, replaced for at least the final 3 games by quarterbacks coach and now interim offensive coordinator Kevin Stefanski. To chat about that and more, Wabi, Ron Johnson, and Ben Goessling covers the Vikings for the Star Tribune and StarTribune.com. Welcome to the show. And regarding, let's start here with the Miami Dolphins game. What change do you expect initially on offense?
Well, I think the fact that Kevin Stefanski worked with Pat Shurmur, and obviously Pat Shurmur thought enough of Kevin Stefanski to think about bringing him to the Giants, I would expect we'll see maybe some of the things that Shurmur did well last year. I think we'll maybe see more screen passes. I think more balance has certainly been the buzzword with Mike Zimmer in recent weeks, and for good reason. I mean, I think they ran the ball 44% of the time last year with Pat Shurmur, and I would expect you'll maybe see a ratio that comes back more in that regard, and things will probably simplify a little bit too. You have a new coordinator that hasn't called plays. Just need to be able to go to the things that work and help players play fast after a losing streak here to try to get off of it.
Yeah, I agree with Ben on that. I think more dedicated runs with actual scheme blocks on the guys in front of them. It sounds some big words, but the honest, easy answer is when you're a tackle guard and you're double teaming and the next guy has to get to the linebacker, I think they're going to put an emphasis on that this week of this is how you do it. Don't be so caught up in the double team. We have to get to the second level because we have a guy named Dalvin Cook that if he can get to the DBs, he's gone.
Kevin knows he had a front row seat for John DeFilippo's attempt to achieve what Mike Zimmer wants in terms of balance in the running game. So Kevin knows that's the objective. I think the way he's going to handle it is that's going to be the outcome that he wants. That's not going to be his method. Mm-hmm. His method is going to be to make Cousins play well. And if Cousins plays well, then the offensive balance will come after that.
So who are these Miami Dolphins? The team is 7-6, bad road record, but it's also a team that has defeated the New England Patriots and the Chicago Bears. Most recently, we had the Minneapolis Miracle, they had the Miami Miracle.
They did, and it was the talk of the town last week in the NFL. It was an awesome victory for them, and so you get a Dolphins team who's going to come into US Bank Stadium feeling pretty good about itself. I think Adam Gase is really good at designing passing offense and challenging coverage. That's a great matchup here because the Vikings pass defense is one of the best in the NFL. So I think that's a really interesting matchup. On the other side of the ball, I don't know if Miami can stop Dalvin Cook if it's blocked the right way. So it's a really big game for the Vikings offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins obviously still have things to play for after last week, and certainly they're going to come in fired up. But that defense, I just don't know if it's going to be able to stand up at US Bank Stadium. And their pass defense has had a lot of trouble this year, giving up big plays, and they've had some injuries in that secondary. You know, Cameron Wake up front, one of the great stories in the NFL, and Robert Quinn on the other side gives you some things to think about. But unless they're able to get to Kirk Cousins, I think that secondary is going to have a hard time trying to deal with Diggs and Thielen. This could be the week where those guys break out again after a couple of frustrating weeks.
What they do, honestly, is they play to their competition. I feel like when teams walk in the building and they feel like, you know what, this is a team we got to play up for, they do it. And this is 2 different quarterbacks. Tannehill has played and he beat New England, and then Brock Osweiler beat the Bears. Right. So it's not even the same quarterback, it's the team. And the one key in that is against the Bears, there were no sacks. And I think that's a big one, and there were no interceptions. So knowing that the Dolphins want interceptions when they put pressure because they think it's going to be a short pass, you got to be able to stand in there, take a big hit to the face, and then throw it deep.
Well, the team loses to Seattle, but there were positives out of the game, specifically, in my opinion, the play of Anthony Harris. The undrafted guy from Virginia has been around for a little while, mostly on special teams, but now as a starter on defense, he's representing pretty well.
Anthony Harris has really grown into his role, and we used to celebrate every time he would make a big play. Now it's almost become routine. I mean, Harris is always around the ball, and I think he knows the defense as well as the rest of the veterans on that team, so it's been fun to watch.
And we can add Holton Hill into the mix too, thrown into a difficult spot.
He's been a pleasant surprise because I think when Mike Hughes went down, everybody was kind of like, oh wow, here we go again. And then Holton Hill steps in and he showed why the Vikings spent so much money as for a free agent, because he is a good athlete. He's long, he can cover, and he's not afraid of big opportunities. I mean, Russell Wilson made an emphasis on deep balls and fades to go at him and said, if I get man to man, I'm going at the rookie. And Holton Hill stood up to the challenge every single time. And that was, I think, for him him a big moment because he's like, you know what, I can do this. And two, I think for the defense, they're like, you know what, we can play man every once in a while with Xavier and Holton Hill if we have to get pressure on some of these quarterbacks going down the stretch. And so I think that's a key. But yeah, Harris for sure, he's Johnny on the spot, and this league is built on when guys get hurt, somebody steps in and they create a career out of it. I think Anthony Harris just found a home here in Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, Hill is one of those guys that I think, as physical as he is and as rangy as he is, certainly has a future. I mean, you saw it. Russell Wilson, as Ron said, made a point of saying, okay, kid, if you're going to come in here on Monday Night Football in this stadium against a quarterback that's won the Super Bowl, you're going to have to prove that you can stand up to it. I mean, it was a number of deep shots, and whether it was playing tight coverage or making a couple of breakups, I think he had 2 breakups in the game, and you saw a lot of his skill set, physicality, range, a lot to like as a young corner, and I think as he continues to grow in this defense, he's just going to become a bigger part of it and more reliable part.
Great job, guys. Thank you, Wabi. Thank you, Ron Johnson. Ben Goessling, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com, covers the Vikings for said Scribe. And I'm Paul Allen. From the TCO studios, that's Vikings Game Plan. Thanks for watching.